Hello students, today in a paper Labor Laws with paper code BBA07 we are going to cover the topic of 4th unit, that is industrial relations. Here we will study the definition and various approaches of industrial relations. I am Ragini Dikshit, working as Assistant Professor, School of Management, BBD University. Now, contents of this slide or this presentation are introduction, meaning, parties involved in industrial relations, objectives of industrial relation, then approaches to industrial relations, and finally the conclusion. Industrial relations introduction. Industrial relation is the field of study which analyzes the relationship among the management and the employees of an organization at the workplace and also provides a mechanism to settle down the various industrial disputes. So, industrial relationship is concerned with the study of relationship which exists between the management and the employee. It provides the mechanisms for settling down the various disputes which may arise between the management and the employees. This concept evolved in the late 19th century because of the industrial revolutions. It is made up of the following two terms. If we can divide the industrial relation into two terms, that is industry and relation, then industry can be viewed as an economic activity, that is, it can be any manufacturing, producing or processing of goods or services activity which is performed by a group of individuals. So, industry can be viewed as an economic activity which is performed by a group of individuals. Similarly, relations here refers to the connection and communication which pertains between the employer and the employees within a workplace. Here we, by word relations, we mean the connection and communication which exists between the employer and the employees within a workplace. Now, coming to the exact definition given by Ordway, Ted and Metcalf, industrial relation is the composite result of the attitudes and approaches of employers and employees towards each other with regard to planning, supervision, direction and coordination of the activities of an organization with a minimum of human efforts and frictions with an animating spirit of cooperation and with proper regard for the genuine well-being of all members of that organization. So, its industrial relation is the composite result of the attitude and approaches of employers and employees for planning, supervision, direction and coordination of the activities of an organization with minimum effort of humans and frictions, and it is done with the spirit of cooperation and proper regard to the genuine well-being of all members of that organization. Now, factors affecting industrial relations. The various factors that influence the relationship between the administration and the employees in an organization are as follows. These are individual behavior, organizational structure, psychological factors, leadership style, economic and technical environment, legal and political environment. These factors affect the industrial relations. So, coming to the first factor, that is individual behavior, that is every person has a different perception, background, skills, knowledge, experience and achievement which influences an individual's behavior. So, the employees therefore have behaved differently in different situations, thus impacting the work environment in the organization. Now, organizational structure. The hierarchical structure creates more formal relationship among the employees belonging to different hierarchical levels in an organization. So, because of these hierarchical structure, formal relation exists between the employees belonging to different hierarchical levels in an organization, and this ultimately results in industrial relations. How the employees at different levels are going to communicate with the top management. It also affects the industrial relations, how much participation is allowed for the employees. Then coming to the psychological factors, an employee's attitude and mentality towards the employer and the given task, and the employer's psychology towards the worker can be positive or negative, which ultimately impacts the employee-employer relationship. With what attitude and what mentality the employee is working, and with what psychology the worker the employer is working, this is ultimately going to affect the employer and employee relationship. Now, leadership style. Every manager possesses certain leadership traits and different style to function even in formal organization. Though her formal or informal ways of generating team spirit and motivating the employees, he or she impacts the organization's industrial relations. Economic and technical environment. To cope up with the changes in the economic conditions or technology, organizations need to restructure the task of the employees, including their work duration, conditions and wages, which leads to a difference in their behavior, attitude, adapting spirit, etc. towards the organization and its people. Legal and political environment. The legal framework and political circumstances influence the organization and its industrial relations. It contributes to the framing of rules, rights, authority, powers, roles and responsibilities of all the parties of the organization. Now, these are the factors we can depict from this picture, that is individual behavior, organizational structure, psychological factors, leadership style, economic and technical environment, as well as legal and political environment. These all factors affect the industrial relations, that is the relation between the employer and the employee. Now, parties involved in industrial relations. To understand the concept of the industrial relations, we should know who all are responsible for developing cordial relationships in the organization. The different persons holding distinct positions in the organization and the external or internal associations involved in the process of building strong industrial relations can be bifurcated into the following two categories. These are primary parties and other parties. These primary parties involved in industrial relations are employees, employers and third is government. Then other parties can be your employers association, trade unions, courts and tribunals, international labor organizations and human resource functions. Now, primary parties. Those persons or associations which are directly associated with or influenced by the function of industrial relations are as follows. These are employees, employers and the government. Now, employees. The workers who provide their services to the organization are an essential resource and contribute to generating the desired output. Following are some of the reasons of which employees find maintaining sound industrial relations to be useful for them. First, sharing their views, suggestions and ideas with the management to improve the business operations. They can share their ideas, suggestions and views to improve the business operations. Then, becoming a part of the organizational decision making and ensuring the betterment of the working conditions. Speaking out their problems and grievances and seeking for the redressal of the same. Now, second primary party is employers. Employers are responsible for providing a favorable work environment for the employees. They have many rights and powers like laying off inefficient employees, taking strategic decisions such as mergers, acquisitions, or shutdown of the organization, and adapting technological changes in the operations. So, employers are responsible for providing a favorable work environment for the employees. Now, third is your government. Before the 19th century, the government did not use to intervene in the conflicts between the employer and the employee. However, later on, there was a change in the attitude of the government bodies. They started regulating the industrial relations through labor courts and tribunals for the following reasons, that is, for safeguarding the interest of both the parties and for ensuring that both the employers and the employee abide by the legal terms and conditions. So, government also started taking part in these industrial relations for the interest of both the parties as well as for ensuring that both parties, that is employer and employees, are obeying the legal terms and conditions. Now, other parties which can also be the part of the industrial relations are your employer associations, trade unions, your courts and tribunals, your international labor organizations, and your human resource function. So, first is your employers association. It is an authoritative body formed to protect the interest of the industrial owners. It is an authoritative body and is it actually formed to protect the interest of the industrial owners. Trade unions, when the workers unite together to form an association and elect a representative among themselves for the protection of their rights and to raise their demands in front of the management, it is named as trade union. Courts and tribunals. The judiciary includes the courts to resolve the legitimate conflicts and the judicial review to administer the justice of the constitution. These courts and tribunals play an essential role in settlement of industrial disputes. These courts and tribunals are generally formed to settle the industrial disputes. Then International Labour Organization. On the international ground, an association was formed under the name of the International Labour Organization, that is ILO, in the year 1990 to set up international norms and standards for dealing with industrial disputes and issues of the worker. Simultaneously, an international labour code was set up to establish the recommendations and conventions for minimum international labour standards. Human resource function. The Human Resource Department or team act as a mediator between the organization and its employee for dealing with the personal issues and conflicts. This Human Resource Department in every organization act as a mediator to deal the personal issues and conflicts between the employees and the management. It is their responsibility to ensure the maintenance of harmonious industrial relations in the company, and it is considered as their responsibility to maintain the harmonious industrial relations in the company. Now, objectives of industrial relations. Industrial relations hold a high significance in the context of human resource management. About addressing the industrial disputes in an organization, the various goals of carrying out such practices are handling grievance. Industrial relations aim to maintain cordial relationship between the management and the employees by resolving the disputes and setting up a mechanism to address the grievances of both the parties. Mental revolution, it emphasizes on transforming the way of thinking of both the management and the workers. The employer must value the workers' contribution towards the organization, and at the same time the employees must respect the authority of the management. Then employees' right protection. Under industrial relations, various acts like in India, National Labour Relation Act and associations were formed to safeguard the rights and interest of the employees, that irrespective of their membership of the labor union. Then contract interpretation. Industrial relations emphasizes on providing proper training to the supervisors and the managers on the labor law contracts to clarify any misunderstanding. Then boosting morale. The motivated workforce is the most efficient resource of the organization, and industrial relation help in motivating these workforce, and it helps in boosting morale of these workforce. Therefore, industrial relations emphasizes on building employees' confidence and boosting their morale to perform better than before. Collective bargaining. The workers' representative and the management put up their proposals in front of each other and negotiates over the same. This is to reach a mutual decision which is written down in a collective bargaining agreement. It helps in collective bargaining so that both the parties can reach a mutual decision. Increasing productivity. Industrial relations aimed at improving the efficiency and productivity of the organization by ensuring employees' long-term retention and minimizing the rate of their absenteeism. Now, coming to approaches to industrial relations. IR is perceived differently by different group of behavioral practitioners and theorists. Some believe that IR is related to the class conflict, while some perceived it in terms of mutual cooperation, and still other perceived it in the terms of competing interest of various groups. On the basis of these perceptions of class conflict, mutual cooperation and competing interest of various groups, there are four popular approaches to industrial relations. These are your system approach, unitary approach, your pluralist approach, Marxist approach, sociological approach, Gandhian approach, psychological approach, and your human relation approach. So, these approaches were, so on the basis of these conceptions, or you can say on the basis of these concepts like class conflict, mutual cooperation and competing interest of various groups, on the basis of these perceptions, there are few popular approaches to industrial relations. These are system approach, unitary approach, pluralist approach, Marxist approach, sociological approach, Gandhian approach, psychological approach and human relations approach. Now, coming to first approach, that is system approach. John Dunlop gave the systems theory of industrial relations in the year 1958. He believed this system approach was given by John Dunlop, and it is also known as Dunlop approach. He believed that every human being belongs to a continuous but independent social system, culture, which is responsible for framing his or her actions, behavior and role. The industrial relations system was based on three sets of different variables. These are actors, context and ideology. Now, by actors here we mean that the individuals or parties involved in the process of developing industrial relations. This variable can be denoted by capital A. So here there are three sets of different variables involved in industrial relation according to John Dunlop, and these are your actor, context and ideology. Actors, we mean individual parties involved in the developing sound industrial relations, and these actors can be denoted by capital A. By context, he mean that the setup in which the actors perform the given task. It includes the industry, markets, technologies and the power distribution in the organization and labor union. So market, that is industry market, technologies and power distribution in the organization and labor unions. Third context is your ideology. The similar ideas, mentalities or beliefs shared by the actors help to blend the system, and it can be expressed by the initial capital I. Now, based on these variables, the following formula was derived by Dunlop. So, industrial relations equal to John Dunlop system approach formula is equal to function of actors, technology, market, power and your ideology. So, this formula represents the industrial relations system can be seen as joint function of all the element mentioned above, that is actors, your industrial markets, technology, power and ideology. It is a joint function of industrial relation, is a joint function of all these factors according to John Dunlop system approach. Now, coming to next approach, that is unitary approach. As the name suggests, the unitary approach can be seen as a method of bringing together the teamwork, common objective, individual strategy and mutual efforts of the individuals, that is uniting all these things. That is why it is known as unitary approach, that is bringing together the teamwork, common objective, individual strategy and mutual efforts of the individual. This theory believes that the conflicts are non-permanent malformations which are a result of improper management in the organization. Moreover, if everyone works towards the achievement of the common goals by maintaining peace and cooperation in the workplace, it will tend to benefit everyone associated with the organization. It also considered the organizational conflict resulting in strikes to be useless and destructive. The other aim of the unitary approach are as follows: to create a productive, efficient and harmonious work environment, to develop a trustworthy, open, fair and transparent work culture, to create a cordial work environment, to restrict the role of the tribunals and other government associations like the trade unions, and initiates direct negotiation between the management and the employees. Now, coming to next approach, that is pluralist approach. The pluralist theory, also called the Oxford approach, was proposed by Flanders in the year 1970. This approach explained that the management and the trade unions are the different robust subgroups which unanimously form an organization. Collective bargaining was considered to be a useful technique for resolving organizational conflicts. Due to this, the management's role has transformed from imposition and control to influencing and coordinating with the worker. Some of the highlights of this approach is the organization should appoint personnel experts and industrial relation specialists to act as a mediator between the management and the trade union. They need to look into the matters of staffing, providing consultation to the managers and the unions, and negotiate with both the parties in case of conflicts. The organization should ensure that the trade unions get recognized and the union leaders or representatives can perform their duties freely. In case of industrial disputes, In case of industrial disputes, the organization can avail the services of the external agents for settlement of such issues. The manager should resolve to a collective bargaining agreement when there is a need for negotiation and settlement with the trade unions. The following formula denotes the Flanders pluralist theory, and it is are industrial relations, or you can say the rules of industrial relations, is the function of collective bargaining, and it is the function of resolving conflict through collective bargaining. It depicts that the rules of industrial relations are a function of collective bargaining, or in other words, it is a function of handling conflicts through collective bargaining. Now, coming to next approach, that is Marxist approach. Lenin came up with the concept of Marxist approach in the year 1978, where he emphasized the social perspective of the organization. This theory perceived that the industrial relations depend upon the relationship between the worker and the owners. There exists a class conflict between both the groups to exercise a higher control or influence over each other. The assumptions of this approach are as follows. Industrial relations are a significant and never-ending source of conflicts under capitalism, which cannot be avoided. However, cases of open disputes are quite unusual. Understanding the conception of capitalized society, capital accumulation process, and the pertaining social relations give a better overview of the industrial relation. The Marxist theory assumed that the survival of the employees without any work is more crucial than the survival of the employer without the laborers. Coming to the next approach, that is sociological approach. The industry is comprised of different human beings who need to communicate with the individuals of the other organizations. So that is socialization process. Due to the difference in their attitude, skills, perception, personality, interest, likes and dislikes, needs, they are usually involved in one or the other conflict. Even the social mobility and other aspects including transfer, default, group dynamics, stress, norms, regulations and status of the workers influence their output and the industrial relations. This theory also emphasizes on the impact of various changes in the work environment, on the interaction and relationship shared by the employers, employees, institutions and the government bodies. Now, coming to the next approach, that is Gandhian approach. The Gandhian approach to industrial relation was proposed by the father of our nation, that is Mahatma Gandhi or Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who was also a well-known labor leader. Following are the various features of the trusteeship or Gandhian theory. Gandhiji was not against strikes. Instead, he gave the following conditions to carry out a favorable strike. The workers or laborers can go on a strike only if there is a specific grievance. There should be complete non-violence while carrying out strikes. The ones who are not involved in the strike should not be tormented. Though Gandhiji was not against carrying out strike, he believed that it should be the last option to which the labor should resort to after the failure of all the constitutional and peaceful ways of resolving conflicts and negotiating with the employer. The Gandhian approach illustrated that nature had provided us with human capabilities and different kinds of properties. Thus, such nature gifts belong to the whole society and cannot be considered as of personal possession by anyone. The objective of this theory is to adopt non-violent ways to bring in economic parity and material enhancement in a capitalist society. Gandhiji perceived that every organization is a joint venture and the labor should be treated as associates or co-partners with the shareholder. Moreover, the worker should have proper knowledge of all the business transactions as it is their right. He focused on increasing the production and believed that the gain should be shared with the employees because of whom it has been possible. He also emphasized that the industrial disputes and conflicts between the parties should be resolved healthily through interaction, arbitration, and bilateral negotiations. This theory gained massive popularity and is applied to address disputes and misunderstandings in the organizational setup even today. Now, coming to psychological approach. The psychologists perceive the problem of the industrial relations as a result of the varying perceptions and mindset of the key participants, the employees and the management. The thematic application test was conducted by Mason Harry to understand the behavior, mindset and perception of the two significant groups, executive and the union leaders in a particular situation. In this test, both the groups were asked to rate and interpret the photograph of an ordinary middle-aged person, and the results were drastically contrasting. The union leader perceived the person to be a manager, whereas the executive thought that the person was a union leader. The major interpretation of this test were as follows. The general belief of a management representative is entirely different from that of a labor representative. Both the management and labor do not consider each other to be trustworthy. Even each of these groups considered that the other one lacks emotional and interpersonal attributes. These contrasting impressions are a result of certain economic as well as non-economic factors like values, power, positions, personal objectives, recognitions, beliefs, education, social security and income of the individuals. Also, each of these parties forms a negative image or perception of each other, due to which they always find fault in the actions and behavior of one another. As a result of the factors mentioned above, there remains a tense interpersonal relations leading to conflicts which ultimately hinders the image and interest of the individuals involved. Now, coming to next approach, that is human relation approach. The person behind the concept of the human relation approach is Keith Davis. The organization and the society comprise of human beings who vary in various aspects as their behavior, emotions, attitudes, mindset and personality, but they have come together to achieve common organizational goals and objectives. The concept of human relations approach and underlines the need for making the individuals familiar with the work situations of the organization and uniting the efforts of the workers. The purpose is to meet the social, psychological and economic objectives by enhancing the overall productivity. Some of the primary objectives of the human relation approach are as follows. To ensure cooperation by promoting the mutual interest of the organization, to enhance the productivity of the individuals, to satisfy the psychological, social and economic need of the employees. This theory focused on enhancing the level of efficiency, workers' morale and job satisfaction by applying specific techniques or tools and policies. The human relation approach highlighted a technique for enforcing proper control over the work environment by forming small work groups and at the same time eliminating the hurdles of sound labor management relations. So, coming to the conclusion, after all the approaches to industrial relations, before the industrial revolutions, organizations paid very less attention to the workers' relationship with the management and with each other. They treated the laborers as machine and concentrated on their production capability and efficiency. Later in the year 1920, John R. Commons introduced the concept of industrial relations, and finally the various approaches to industrial relations were emphasized, and these relations emphasize the impact of labor relation with the management and the employer on the productivity of the organization. In the modern day business world, where the companies are becoming more people oriented and work continuously for achieving employee satisfaction and retention, the study of industrial relations play a significant role in the organization. I hope this is clear to all of you. Thank you, class.